News Television. Reporting tonight, Ayotunde Balogun. Hello and welcome. Tonight, voters turn out in their numbers to choose their governors for the next 4 years in Bayelsa, Kogi and Imo states. Exercise adjudged relatively peaceful with minor disruptions in some areas. INEC suspends elections in 9 wards in Ogori Mangongo local government areas of Kogi state, says staff kidnapped in Bayelsa state following a boat accident on her way to election duties has been freed. Former President Goodluck Jonathan calls for an end to the off-season election trend, says practice could affect presidential poll if not checked. And Nigeria is no longer laid back. The president tells Saudi investors at a roundtable meeting on the sidelines of the Saudi Africa Summit in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. And French President Emmanuel Macron joins call for ceasefire between Israel and Hamas, urges Israel to stop the bombing of Gaza.
And on business news tonight, Nigeria's forex reserves declined for the first time in 4 weeks as it jumps by $44.39 million week to date.
It is now a waiting game for the results of the off-cycle governorship elections held today in Imo, Bayelsa and Kogi states. But collation of results will not begin in Kogi and Bayelsa states until 10 a.m. tomorrow. The elections began early in most polling units across the 3 states, although there were reports of delays in the arrival of voting materials in some areas. Over 5 million registered voters were expected to turn out for the polls, with the registered voters in Bayelsa state put at over 1 million, Imo State 2.4 million, while Kogi State has 1.9 million voters. While the turnout of voters in some parts of the state appeared impressive, some other areas, the polls were reported to have had not so impressive number of voters coming out to cast their votes. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has suspended the off-season elections in 9 wards in Ogori Mangongo local government areas of Kogi State following reports that result sheets were completed before voting commenced in those areas. In a statement, the electoral umpire vowed not to accept results that do not emanate from its process in any polling unit. It maintained that the incidents occurred in Adavi, Ajaukuta, Okei, Okene, and Ogori Mangongo, which it says witnessed the most serious incidents. It maintains that the incidents in other areas will be thoroughly investigated and the outcome announced in the next 24 hours. INEC had earlier today called its attention to reports circulating on social media that field result sheets were discovered in some polling units in Kogi State. The electoral umpire also confirmed the release of one of its officials who was earlier kidnapped following a boat accident in Bayelsa State. The incident happened in Koluama, a southern Ijo local government area. Moving on now, in Imo State, the governorship election has come to a close with reports of results, collation, counting, and uploads to the RF concluded in part of the state. Well, our correspondents on the ground report that while voter apathy was noted in some parts or in many parts of the state, some other areas saw a huge turnout of voters, just as reports of vote buying and violence were noted in some parts of the state. We'll return to that story much later. Well, in Bayelsa State, the much-awaited governorship election has held across the state, also amid tight security. Now, prospective voters and contestants turned out very early at their various polling units, all in a bid to perform their civic responsibilities.
INEC staff, voting materials and voters all arrived early at Ward 6 in Yenagoa, the Bayelsa state capital. At the nick of the hour, voting begins, though there is barely any police presence. The abduction of an INEC official almost cast a dark cloud over the polls, but the police and INEC National Commissioner allay concerns.
Everybody has known that if you snatch ballot box, you are just wasting your time. So nobody is going to do that. Probably when they start sorting and counting, that we might start having issues. So we'll be on ground to ensure that nothing untoward happens.
So far, so good. Nearly 90% were able to mobilize to the RAC centers, and our staff left successfully this morning. And the reports coming from our platform is good news.
After having cast the ballots, the two major contenders for the governorship seat, incumbent Governor Tuoye Diri and APC governorship candidate Timipre Silva, share their thoughts on the exercise.
I'm very satisfied with the process, with the personnel that are handling the process. For concerns, yes, we have concerns about Nembe Basambri, where party members, most of whom have been excluded, our agents have been stopped from going into Nembe.
There's a lot of improvement. This is not a football system. It's a human system, so you expect that there will be lapses. But I was very shocked that the careless mistake only happened in the ward, particularly. And the units that were targeted were very big units and a large number of voters. We would have had over 4,000 voters disenfranchised.
In Amasoma, in southern Ijo local government area of the state, the voting process was orderly and relatively peaceful, just as voters in Kolokuma, Opokuma local government applaud INEC on the electoral process.
INEC tried, at least the beavers are working. The ad hoc staff came on time with their materials and they started voting at 8:30. So we thank God for INEC this year. We pray that they keep it up.
So far, so good. The election in Udi has been peaceful. We have not recorded any incident. Both parties are voting freely. Naturally, the people of Kolokuma, Pokuma are peaceful people. That is what we are experiencing here. We know that after election, we are still brothers. So there's no record of violence so far in Udi.
At 2:30 p.m., voting closes for the next phase of the process, sorting and counting.
51, 52, 53.
In the next few hours, all eyes will be on INEC to make good their promise of a credible election. And Bayelsans would expect that win or lose, the candidates work together for the good of the state. Chris Elems, Channels Television News.
Staying in Bayelsa State, former President Goodluck Jonathan and his wife Patience were among the early voters who showed up at Ward 13, polling unit 39 at Otueke to cast their vote. After casting his vote, the former president expressed his concern over the incident that occasioned the conduct of off-cycle governorship elections. He believes that if not watched, Nigeria will get to a point where there will be off-cycle elections for the presidential polls.
The three states that have elections today, Bayelsa State, Imo State, and Kogi State, and which are the states successful elections, peaceful conduct of elections. But basically, because this is an off-season election, and I get worried about the issue of off-season elections. And I will use this unique opportunity to plead with the National Assembly that we need to block this off-season election. It's very odd. It's not a global best practice. A country can can elect their people at different times, like America. Some countries they do not elect everybody at the same time. But any time they go on to conduct their election, they elect everybody that's supposed to be elected. If we continue with this trend of off-season elections, based on the interpretation of our laws by the judicial officer, to come to a time that the presidential election in Nigeria may be off-season. probably that's the time that all of you media people and others should be worried. Look at the American system. Everybody knows when the American elections will be conducted. That's standard practice in other countries. And I say presidential election in Nigeria may be off-season one day. Some people may get say, why, how? It almost happened in 2007 that contested as a running mate to late President Yar'Adua. You know that election, the 7 justices that presided over the case, 3 of them, in their own judgment that the election be annulled, 4 of them sustained the election. And that is why we stayed. If one has crossed over, by now the presidential election in Nigeria would have been off-season election. And it is not the best for a country. And there's easy things to do to make sure that other states, now we have 7 states that are off-season. We need to stop there. And where possible, these 7 states too can be migrated back to fall in line with the other states. And the National Assembly can do that. That is my message for the National Assembly, my message for Nigerians today. On the other hand, I wish the election successful. I've been monitoring what is happening in Bayelsa State. I almost ask people across the local governments. And for now, no major things that we will get worried, apart from the part of Nimbe local government, the Basambri part of Nimbe local government that have been in conflict for quite some time before the election. Apart from that, I think the elections are going on well, but we cannot conclude until the end of the voting period.
From Bayelsa to Kogi State, where the governorship election was held amidst tight security. Across the state, voters turned out in their numbers to exercise their franchise. While some of the candidates and other stakeholders applauded the conduct of a poll in the state, others complained of malpractice in the exercise. Our correspondent, Emperor Simon, reports.
A busy day for election officials in Kogi State as they take delivery of election materials. At a registration area center located at Ward 01 in Lokoja local government area, the ad hoc staff are given last-minute drills on the use of bimodal voter accreditation system and general conduct of the polls before setting out to their various polling units.
Talking about IREF now, slide your screen. You should see the icon here. IMP IREF.
At about 7 a.m., many of them started arriving at their polling units across the 3 senatorial districts, with voters waiting to cast their votes. Soon the exercise commences. Preferential treatment is given to people with peculiar needs, including pregnant women and the elderly.
The time they started is a little bit behind schedule. You say by 8 o'clock, but it was after 9 that they started.
The security men are trying. They are really, really trying. I have not seen security more than this one since I've been here in Kogi State.
It was going successfully, though the turnout is very low because we have about 750 accredited voters. But so far now, about 220 has voted.
The candidates expressed their franchise in their various polling units. They share their experiences.
As you can see, the election is peaceful and orderly, so I'm happy about that.
The turnout is impressive. I don't know the other areas, but these are wards. The turnout is above 50%.
It's unclear if the candidate of the People's Democratic Party voted. However, is raising alarm over reports of pre-filled result sheets.
There's a massive protest in all polling units in Ogori Magongo local government of Kogi State right now. The result sheets have been, filled and tampered with already, and people are refusing to accredit, people are refusing to vote, and they are insisting that plain result sheet must be shown to agents in accordance to electoral law.
Never matter. Governor Yahaya Bello of Kogi State shared his experience after casting his vote.
We, the citizens, have conducted ourselves very orderly and very, very cordially. The INEC are doing their job very, very well. and the security agencies are equally assisting.
The presence of security personnel gives a sense of safety and orderliness as the resident electoral commissioner in Kogi State and Deputy Inspector General of Police in charge of Kogi State go around to monitor the process.
Yes, it's peaceful. The security are on ground.
Yes.
The INEC officials are equally on ground.
Yes, sir.
And they are even waiting for the eligible voters to come and decide their franchise.
They're not the only ones monitoring the conduct of the polls. Other observers also share their experiences.
So far, what we have seen is okay. Things are going on okay, to the best of our knowledge. From what we have seen, things are okay. I've seen core members, seen some of the NYC officials who are checking core members to see what they are doing. And that is basically what I'm here for. And so far, I think there is no cause for alarm.
At about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, voting was concluded in many polling units across the state, and sorting as well as counting of ballots commenced with party agents keenly observing the process. In some of the polling units monitored, election officials are seen uploading their results to the INEC Results View portal IREV in line with the electoral law. For now, it's not certain what the general assessment of the governorship election in Kogi State may be as residents resume their normal activities across the state. Voters have done what is expected of them by coming out to exercise their franchise. What's left now is the collation and announcement of results, which we expect that any moment from now they will commence. For now, Kogi State seems peaceful and calm. From Lokoja, the Kogi State capital, Emperor Simon, Channels Television News.
In part 2, after the break, we'll have more on the off-season governorship elections from Kogi and Imo State and what the civil society organizations are saying on the conduct of the polls. Please join us again.
Where is Glory? Excuse me, ma'am.
Hello? Where Glow now?
Are they here?
No, Glow, don't go village. Tell all our customer.
Everybody pay attention. See, now Glow dedicated 10x. Now he might they take tension my customers. Now they dash me 10 times the credits when I load. Or even summer me double data join.
Yeah. Wait, so with 1.5 when they give all of us, so you they enjoy up to
15,000 naira credit and data. And I say I never finish you. See, when I say if we enjoy, if we not join Glow dedicated 10x, when I go get 1,000 naira welcome credits.
Really? Glow, you don't win.
Una see they here. Hello, please, I'm looking for Glow. Please save now Glow with the fine. Now Glow with the go. Okay, so
enjoy 10 times the value of your recharge on Glow dedicated 10x. You also get 1,000 naira for calls and data and double data bonus on your subscription.
This is Thames. Back then when I was a new young kid, Jameson Black Barrel. I've been going on my own. I've been doing things on my own. Today was running right back. Together we go further.
For Thames.
You know that's all of us, right?
Together is our win. Jameson Black Barrel, touched by fire for a rich, smooth taste.
If you have a prepaid meter, it may be time for an update. From November 2024, you will not be able to recharge without updating. However, updating is easy and free. Distribution companies shall commence issuing keychain tokens. The tokens will update your meter, but the update will not affect your units. And your meter no go run faster. Contact your disco for more information. ARC, keeping the lights on.
Express payments, the gateway for all. Making transactions, big or small. Joining millions who have made the switch. Experience the joy and feel enriched. Express payments, your trusted gateway. Trusted gateway. Make your payments the easy way. Easy way. In just a few clicks, your payment is done. With express payments, no hassle at all.
Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10, coming to you live on Channels Television Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. Voters turn out in their numbers to choose their governors for the next 4 years in Bayelsa, Kogi and Imo states. Exercise are judged relatively peaceful with minor disruptions in some areas. INEC suspends election in 9 wards in Oguri Magongo local government areas of Kogi State, says staff kidnapped in Bayelsa State following a boat accident on her way to election duties has been freed. Former President Goodluck Jonathan calls for an end to the off-season election trend, says practice could affect presidential poll if not checked. And the president tells Saudi investors at a roundtable meeting in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, that Nigeria is no longer laid back but is now ready for business. All right, let's now join our correspondent live from Lokoja in Kogi State, Larry Lasisi, for a situation update on the off-cycle elections there. Great to see you, Larry. What can you tell us at this moment in time?
Oh, well, hi, Ayo. Well, you've taken almost everything that to a large extent makes up the story of the election in Kogi today, from the seemingly peaceful beginning. People came out, voted. Security people had taken all the arrangements and put everything in place. Results are expected to be coming in. IREV worked and all, to the point where we now start getting feedback as regards pre-filled documents and all that. And the latest statement from the Independent National Electoral Commission about suspensions of polls in some parts of Kogi. Well, the part of that document also said the process continues while investigation continues in some of those other areas where those issues were seen or were reported. I can tell you that right now, the collation center has been closed. The REC for Kogi State has said the collation will commence 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. They're waiting for results to come in from the local government. Some have come in, but they're waiting for more to come in. So when that happens, by the time the collation begins tomorrow by 10 a.m. is expected, it will move swiftly and hopefully to the end of the exercise. That is what is the latest on ground from Lokoja in Kogi State.
All right, Larry, let's just say thank you so much for that situation update, and definitely we'll be keeping tabs on developments as it unfolds for the off-cycle elections in Kogi State. Moving on next, now civil society organizations, CSOs, have been reacting to the conduct of today's elections by the electoral umpire INEC in Imo, Kogi, and of course in Bayelsa states. In separate press briefings, Yaga Africa, the Nigerian Civil Society Situation Room, and the Center for Democracy and Development all noted irregularities ranging from voter inducements, varying time of arrival by INEC officials, malfunctioning of the BVAS, and alleged field election result sheets, amongst others. Our correspondent Victor Matthias reports.
It is another election period and another time to put to test the capability, capacity and competence of INEC to conduct free, fair and credible elections as residents of Kogi, Bayelsa and Imo states head to the polls to elect their leaders for the next 4 years. Civil society organizations who deployed monitoring resources to these states are one by one at separate briefings reeling out their preliminary findings.
Yaga Africa received a worrying report of manual accreditation of voters in PU 005-006 St. Martin's School, Ejule St. Martin's School, Ejule Ward 003, Ofu local government in Kogi State, where the polling officials refrained from accrediting voters with the beavers and manually accredited voters.
Regrettably, electoral violence has remained a sore point in this election. Electoral violence was reported in the Kini local government area, specifically in Agala Ogene PU, Ayin Batao. A thug was reportedly shot and killed by military officials while fleeing in an attempt to snatch a ballot box. There was also a similar attempt in Ganaja PU, Ajaokuta local government, where the LGA chair was apprehended by voters.
Reports from Situation Room field observers indicate that a majority, 86% of the polling units observed in Kogi State opened by the official opening time of 8:30 a.m. While in Bayelsa State, 66% of the polling units visited opened by 8:30 a.m. In Imo State, opening of poll was delayed in many polling units, as reports from our observers show that only 26% of the polling units visited opened by 8:30 a.m.
They also make recommendations.
We call on INEC and security agencies to ensure the peaceful and transparent conclusion of these elections.
We call on INEC to suspend elections in polling units / local government areas which reported incidents of pre-filled local government area and pre-filled result sheets in those local governments.
Though they commiserated with INEC over the boat mishap and condemned the abduction of INEC senior presiding officers, they still berated the electoral umpire for not learning from the lessons from the general elections in February 2023 and repeating similar mistakes. Victor Matthias, Channels Television News.
Meanwhile, the former Minister of Information, Mr. Edwin Clark, has called on INEC to investigate the source of multiple results flying around in the off-cycle elections. Mr. Clark says the election offers INEC the sole opportunity to redeem itself and restore public confidence in its ability to conduct credible elections in a nation that urgently needs to get things right democratically. He was speaking to journalists in Abuja, and Mr. Clark also commended the Supreme Court verdict on the status of the FCT.
This is an election where we should give the INEC the opportunity to redeem itself. But what we are hearing of discovering result sheets, completed result sheets with names of voters and so on, is very unfortunate. And INEC should investigate and make a public statement on this issue. Otherwise, they will be condemned as we did in the last general election. But I still believe that the election will be free and fair to a greater extent. I'm happy to watch the elections going on in Bayelsa, Imo, and Kogi. I think INEC to redeem its image. What happened in the last general election was very disappointing. Because if you say that you are going to use technology, you must use them because you provide it in your guidelines, in the electoral law. So, I think INEC should redeem its image because without an effective, honest INEC, we are in trouble. That democracy will not work in this country.
Still to come on the news at 10, we'll have more on the off-season governorship elections from Imo State. Plus, Nigeria's forex reserves decline for the first time in 4 weeks. That will be on Business News. Please stay with us. Welcome back. In Imo State, the governorship election has come to a close with reports of result collation, counting and uploads to the IREV concluded in part of the state. Our correspondents on the ground report that while voter apathy was noted in many parts of the state, some other areas saw a huge turnout of voters, just as reports of vote buying and violence were noted in some parts of the state. This joint report is presented by our correspondent, Kayla Megwa.
Voting day in Imo State begins, and as we take the 50-minute journey to Amimo in Ikorodu local government area, we arrive at a local market where voters tell us they're getting ready to exercise their franchise.
I will vote, and today will be best for us. Let this election go free and fair without ringing.
Our first polling unit is at the Amimo ward, and voting did not start here till 10:15 a.m. And this was after gunshots in the school sent many bystanders running. Meanwhile, the PDP governorship candidate for the governorship election cast his vote at this polling unit. Speaking to the media afterwards, he decried what he described as an unfair election process.
From what I heard, the ruling party, hired the service of non-state actors. Some of them wearing, police uniforms, pretending to be policemen on duty. Some of them were arrested, and that's what we're getting all over the state. But I don't know why they're afraid to go for a free and fair and credible election. As for us, we're still watching. We're getting every information from our situation room.
Low turnout was noticed in some other polling units in Imo East local government area, and there were rumors of vote buying in some areas. However, in Oru West, Oru East, and Oguta local government area, voters say INEC officials arrived early and the election process was smooth.
They are doing well, except a few places that the beavers may not function well. But for real, they are doing very well.
The Imo State Governor and APC governorship candidate Okwozo Odemma and his wife arrived at Egbenja Okwozo Omoma polling unit 032 to cast his vote. He commends INEC and security operatives on the smooth conduct of the election and an improvement from the past.
The conduct is very impressive. I want to commend INEC. I want also to commend the security agencies with the kind of deployment they have done and how orderly the environment has become. And contrary to the ugly expectation that the environment will not be there for voting to take place, you can see that the INEC has risen to the occasion and everything seems to be very normal.
Meanwhile, the Labour Party governorship candidate, after voting at Umunumo community in Ehimembano local government area of Imo State, speaks on the conduct of the election.
Yeah, we've also heard in our local that they moved the Osun electoral material, they moved it to a particular traditional electoral. But still trying to verify the information. And also, we hear that they are cluster voting. So, all these things, we need to verify them before we go forward.
So what are your major concerns going forward?
Well, going forward, my major concern is that we still believe that their plan, like we've been shouting in the media all this while, they have so many thugs camped in so many hotels. We've alerted the security agencies. They have not taken any action. And we think that their plan is to hijack before the collation center and then try to start all the results here that are written.
Back in Owerri Municipal, with voting coming to a close at the designated 2:30 p.m., we observed the sorting and counting process at Ikorodu Girls Secondary School in Ward 2. The counting has been completed, the results have been uploaded onto the IREV, and the party agents seem satisfied. At least they have signed the documents. So the process in this particular ward, at least for the voting process for the governorship election in Ward 2 here in Ikorodu Girls in Owerri Municipal, has been completed for the time being. The results, of course, collation and all the other processes will be coming up shortly. But very interesting electoral process we've had in Imo State. At least today we've seen vote buying. We've seen the EFCC arrest a few people for vote buying. We've also seen violence in places like Ikorodu, and a lot of these conversations will continue in the days to come. But meanwhile, the electoral process has ended right here, and collation and announcements will be coming up soon. Kayla Megwa, Channels Television News.
Staying in Imo State, police say preliminary reports from the field show that the governorship election was largely peaceful. This comes amid reports of pockets of violence in some communities in the state. However, the Deputy Inspector General of Police, Mr. Frank Mba, says investigation will be carried out in areas alleged to have witnessed such incidents.
This is what the streets of Owerri look like on the day of election. At the polling units, assigned police officers resumed with the electoral officials. As the cubicle setup is done, security operatives also settling in. The Deputy Inspector General of Police supervising the Imo governorship election, Frank Mba, is on election surveillance with these men. He says the reports from the field are largely positive.
We will also be deploying the EOD experts to all those collation centers and making sure that even before the materials begin to arrive, before the INEC officials begin to arrive, before the party agents begin to arrive, we must have done a thorough sweeping of those areas. We are generally positive about the outcome of these elections. We have challenges on ground, but these are not challenges that are insurmountable.
To have a wider view of the situation, he embarks on an area surveillance of the state.
I have created myself
At Town School, Igboma Ward in Oguta local government area of the state, there was a heated argument among some political party agents on the missing results sheets. The INEC presiding officer speaks on how someone identified an unarmed man carted away the documents.
Some men came here, I don't know them.
And took away the result sheets?
Yes, sir.
Okay. How many are there?
I don't know, but I know that it's
Were they armed?
No.
You just came, collected it and left. Are they INEC officials?
I don't know them.
Voting may have ended and collation is on the way, but these processes are still as important as that of the last couple of hours, and security operators are expected to see the entire process through. Dari Ibu, Channels Television News.
Outside the shores of the country, President Bola Tinubu has once again reiterated Nigeria's readiness in welcoming Saudi investors in Nigeria. President Bola Tinubu mentioned this during the Saudi-Nigeria roundtable meeting in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Speaking to the forum, he assured members of the Saudi government that change is coming from Africa and that the perception of Nigeria as laid back is gone. He also promised the Saudi business partners that Nigeria is open for business and that Nigeria remains at the heart of Africa, vowing the elimination of red tapes, affirming that the buck stops with him. The Saudi team, led by the Minister of Investment, Khalid Al-Falih, said they look forward to speaking more with their counterparts in the Nigerian government, even as they prepare to hold the first meeting of the Saudi-Nigeria Business Council in Nigeria. In other stories, the Christ Compassion for Rural World today held the grand finale of its outreach to thousands of residents in Ikorodu and other neighboring communities, where they were also gifted with various items. Convener of the Christ Compassion for Rural World, Pastor Matthew Ashimolowo, says the non-denominational platform is a vehicle for extending God's love and compassion to remote villages and communities.
It's the final day of the 2023 Christ Compassion Crusade, and this venue is filled to capacity with residents of Ikorodu and environs. The event is rounding off with a medical outreach with community members filing at different sections, from registration to consultation and then to the pharmacy. Children are not left out, as they are also gifted with stationery items. Convener of the crusade, Pastor Matthew Ashimolowo, is also on the ground supervising the process.
We expected great response. We know the need in the land. We know the challenges in the land. But we did not expect the magnitude of the need and response we've had. We had to fill the stadium some days 3 times. So morning, noon, night, more than a success, beyond imagination.
Partnerships are critical to the CCRW, as the convener appreciates donors.
I want to say a big thank you. Many, many people we will never know or meet, who just saw the account number of CCRW and sent money. Some 5,000 naira, 1,000 naira. We had 500 naira. We had 50,000 naira. We had a lady in the United Kingdom who gave 50,000 pounds. We have special appreciation to some pharmaceutical, Green Life, Emzo, Feeds.
Today, we are deworming over 10,000 children, and we are distributing over 20,000 exercise books, 10,000 sharpeners, 10,000 pencils, and 10,000 erasers. It's been a glorious time. We are glad that many thousands have been touched. We're having several testimonies. People want us to come to Ikorodu again.
For the beneficiaries, it is joy unspeakable.
He has done a lot. Giving out foods at this point in time and making people to be well is a ministry. It's a blessing to people.
The Christ Compassion to the Rural World is a non-denominational crusade and community outreach with a target of bringing the gospel of Christ to rural communities in ways that are relevant, relatable, and practical.
It's now time for business news, and Laddie Williams is standing by. Laddie.
Thanks, Ayo. In business news, Nigeria's forex reserves rest again, settling lower for the first time in 4 weeks. Data from the central bank shows that gross reserves decreased by $44.39 million to $3.42 billion as of November the 9th. Meanwhile, the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mr. Mohammed Idris, says the Saudi government has promised to provide substantial deposit of foreign exchange to boost Nigeria's forex liquidity to support the ongoing forex reforms by the Central Bank of Nigeria. The Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman made the pledge on the sidelines of Saudi Africa Summit in Riyadh during a bilateral meeting with President Bola Tinubu. And forex market trading activity at the FMDQ exchange closed positive this week as the total turnover of transactions carried out at the FX spot forwards and futures markets rose by 25.16%. Week on week to close at $678.24 million. A further breakdown shows total value of transactions at the FX spot market climbed by 24.33% to $654.61 million, while transactions at the FX derivatives market rose by more than 50% to $23.63 million. Also, the value of the naira depreciated by 1.79% to 839 naira 74 kobo against the dollar at the official window when compared to 824 naira 73 kobo it closed with in the previous week. And Dangote Refinery says it has secured permit to process 300,000 barrels of Nigerian crude per day. Mr. Aliko Dangote made this known today in an interview in Riyadh on the sidelines of the Saudi Africa Summit, adding that the refinery will begin processing gasoline soon. Mr. Dangote stresses that the refinery's first priority is to supply gasoline to Nigeria before exporting elsewhere, including the West African region. And telecom giant MTN Nigeria says it will restore debt of subscribers after a technical glitch led to the temporary cancellation of debt from the accounts of subscribers who had borrowed airtime from the company. Meanwhile, the glitch had left many subscribers excited earlier today when they checked their accounts and they discovered that the money they had borrowed had vanished, leaving their balances at zero. In a statement, the telecoms firm assures customers of total restoration of their balances as soon as the company's engineers resolve the glitch. And to the equities market now, so the local bourse ended the week positive amid recent developments in the FX landscape. The market recorded gains on all trading sessions, driven by increased demand for Boa Cement, FBN Holdings, and Seplat. Quarterly, the all-share index advanced by 0.93% week on week to 70,854 points, resulting in a month-to-date and year-to-date returns of 2.3% and 38.2% each. Trading activity levels reflected market optimism as total traded volume and value increased by 3.3% and 12.3%. Meanwhile, sector performance was mostly positive as the oil and gas, industrial goods, banking, and consumer goods indices recorded gains, while the insurance index was the sole loser for the week. Japol Gold emerged top gainer this week, followed by RT Briscoe and GlaxoSmithKline, while Caverton Offshore notched the top spot on the losers chart. The trio of Japol Gold, FBN Holdings, and UBA led top trades by volume, accounting for about 1.03 billion shares traded in the week. Similarly, the NESD OTC Securities Index closed the trading week bullish. The unlisted equities index rose by nearly 1%. Also, turnover was mixed. Volume traded fell by more than 0.5% to 3.76 million units, while the value rose slightly by 0.18% to close at 120.39 billion naira. Aradel Holdings PLC topped the gainers chart for this week, while UBN Property led the decliners, and trading in top three are UBN Property, Capital Bancorp, and Afriland Properties. And that's it from me on Business News. I'm Laddie Williams, back to Aya with the rest of the news at 10.
Thanks, Laddie, and welcome to Sports News. Nigeria's under-20 national team, the Falconets, are ready to begin their campaign for the 2024 FIFA Under-20 Women's World Cup qualifiers when they face Tanzania this Sunday in the second round first leg. The Falconets arrived in Dar es Salaam on Friday night for the game. Both teams will again trade tackles at the MQ Abiola Stadium, Abuja, on Sunday, November the 19th, for the return leg. In the English Premier League, Arsenal handed Burnley a sixth straight defeat in all competitions. Goals from Leandro Trossard, William Saliba and Alexander Zinchenko gave the Gunners the 3-1 win at home. That's at the Emirates. Arsenal moved to second on the table with 29 points, level with leaders Manchester City and 1 point above Tottenham Hotspur, who lost 2-1 at Wolverhampton Wanderers. At Old Trafford, Victor Lindelof eased pressure on coach Erik ten Hag as his 59th minute goal was enough for Man United to claim all 3 points against Luton. In other results, Everton edged Crystal Palace 3-2, while Bournemouth shocked Newcastle United by 2-0. In the Major League Soccer, Inter Miami celebrated Lionel Messi's record 8th Ballon d'Or award with a ceremony last night. Messi showed off his prestigious trophy to a cheering crowd at the Night of Gold ceremony at the DRV PNK Stadium. The Argentinian is the first active MLS player to win the prestigious award.
A dream that South Florida would house the greatest football team that this country has ever seen. It has been our aspiration and our goal that when football is talked about in America, that people think and believe in Inter Miami. And tonight is a night where with my partner and your owner, David Beckham, had the privilege to be in Paris to hand Lionel Messi the 8th Ballon d'Or, the greatest player to ever live.
In tennis, Adrian Manarino capped off the best season of his career with his third title of the year, winning the Sofia Open. The Frenchman defeated Jack Draper of Britain 7-6, 2-6, 6-3 to claim the title in 2 hours and 17 minutes. In Metz, Ugo Humbert delighted his hometown crowd with a 6-3, 6-3 victory over Alexander Shevchenko to claim the Moselle Open title. The win on home soil marked the Frenchman's 4th tour-level final title in 4 final appearances. In MotoGP, Alex Marquez shocked George Martin and reigning champion Francesco Bagnaia to win the Malaysian Grand Prix sprint from 4th position. Martin finished second, while Bagnaia, chasing his second world crown, came third. The sprint result means Bagnaia's championship lead over Martin was reduced to 11 points ahead of Sunday's race. Back to our off-season elections, and from the IREF portal, percentage of results uploaded by INEC shows that Bayelsa has 84%, while in Imo State is 89.05%, and of course in Kogi is 86%. Well, let's now go over to Owerri, the Imo State capital, for a situation update with our correspondent Dari Ido. Hello Dari, what can you tell us at this moment in time?
Thank you very much. I am reaching you live here at the collation center, the headquarters of INEC in Owerri, Imo State. It's been a long day, of course, from one polling unit to the other, and again we've reported the low turnout of votes. So let me bring you up to speed as to what is expected here. Usually we would expect that the collation will start from what we gathered from those in charge. I mean, this setup should be familiar by now. What we gathered from them, this collation center was expected to have been opened by 10 p.m. But from what they have said, no local government has come in yet. We're looking at 27 local government, and what they do usually is to make sure that at least they have 5 or 10 so that they treat them in batches, because if you have one trickling or two, that means the process will start and they would have to stop it halfway. So that is what is happening now. From what we've also gathered, no local government has come in yet. So we also expect the process to be pretty fast, because from what some of our correspondents, I was on the field as well, we noticed that the turnout was really low in most cases. But what would happen eventually is that 2.3 million people, more than 2.3 million people collected the PVC, and they are the eligible voter in this election. But from what we saw on the field, the numbers of voters that actually came out to vote were really so low. So it should also affect the process, how fast or how slow the process is. Once the local governments start coming in, this collation center would open in Owerri, Ayo.
All right, Darido, thank you so much for this situation update, and definitely we'll be keeping tabs on that situation. Of course, a quick update again from the IREV portal, which tells us that the percentage of results uploaded shows that in Bayelsa State, it is now 84%. In Imo State, it is 89.05%. And of course, in Kogi State, which is 86.09%. Now on to the foreign scene, where French President Emmanuel Macron is urging Israel to stop the bombing in Gaza while condemning the actions of the group Hamas. Now, he acknowledged Israel's right to protect itself, but then pointed out that civilians were being killed needlessly. President Macron was speaking in an interview after holding a humanitarian conference on Gaza in Paris, the French capital. And the main news again. Voters turned out today in their numbers to choose their governors for the next 4 years in Bayelsa, Kogi and Imo States, as exercise was adjudged relatively peaceful with minor disruptions in some areas. INEC has suspended election in 9 wards in Oguri-Magongo local government areas of Kogi State over fake result sheets circulated before voting began. A staff kidnapped in Bayelsa State following a boat accident on her way to election duties has been freed. And French President Emmanuel Macron joins calls for ceasefire between Israel and Hamas, urging Israel to stop the bombing of Gaza. And that's the news at 10 tonight. Many thanks for watching. I'm Ayotunde Balogun. And do have a good night and stay safe.
On the 5th of November 2022, we did a special episode on a fire incident that happened in Kubwa. In December of 2021, we witnessed the fire incident that brought down the next cash and carry supermarket in the Jahi district of Abuja. And these are just a